We're about a month away from witnessing the two big juggernauts meet head-to-head once again in the third fight, the trilogy fight, Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. Looking forward to it. And I think I'm more excited about this fight than a lot of people are, and I get it. It's the third time they're facing off. What's there to be excited about? Tyson Fury won in convincing fashion in a lot of people's eyes in the second fight. Keeping all the controversy to the side and just looking at the fight, I get it. I understand it. Why be excited about a fight where Tyson Fury arguably was winning the first fight, got up heroically from a knockdown, and then the fight was a draw, and then, of course, the second fight was what it was. But the reason why I'm excited about this fight, and why I feel like more people should be excited about this fight, because I truly and honestly feel Deontay Wilder is going to bring something into this fight that we've never really seen before. And it's literally to the contrary of what Fury has been saying, which is, I don't think Wilder can bring anything else to this fight. He may try a few little things, but at the end of the day, he's going to revert back to what he knows best, and that is try to punch himself out of a problem. Try to punch himself out of a situation where he knows he's desperate. And I just don't see it that way. Now, I want to comment really quick because a lot of people have asked my opinion about the press conference, which is another reason why I wanted to make this video, because we have seen the press conference now. We have witnessed a bit of the training from both camps now, a little bit more. And in regards to the press conference, I think there's only two ways you can look at it. And I think it does depend on which side of the fence you stand on, Fury or Wilder, or perhaps you're neutral in the fight. You're just looking forward to the fight. But I really do feel like there's only two ways to look at it, and that is Wilder's acting that way through his silence and wearing the headphones and refusing to engage in the press conference and to help build this fight, which, to be honest, does it really need to be built up? Probably not. But for the sake of the gentleman's sport, where you shake hands before the fight, you fight, and you shake hands after the fight, you help build the fight together, promote yourself, all that good stuff, and do it for the fans, etc., etc. I get that. So you either feel like Deontay was acting that way because he's truly scared, he's worried. I've heard a few people say he wanted the fight, but he didn't really want it. Or he's acting this way because he's in a completely different mindset right now. There's really only two ways that you can look at it. I tend to lean to the latter, which is, I believe Wilder is hyper-focused for this fight, and he has every single reason to be. And it's more than just vengeance. It's more than revenge. It's more than just, oh, I thought you cheated me in the second fight. It's much more than that. This is an opportunity to prove to the boxing world that he is indeed the best heavyweight of this generation. And the mindset is that it's not going to even be close. I'm going to destroy Fury. That's the vibe and the energy that I'm personally receiving when I look at Deontay Wilder and Malik Scott, his team, the interviews that I've heard him speak in. And in my mind, I'm thinking he has all the ingredients to come into this fight with absolute fury, no pun intended. And the one thing that stands out to me the most is his workout videos. And a lot of people are just shrugging their shoulders like, it's just pad work. It's just heavy bag work. We've seen Wilder do this before. It's different this time. And if you know boxing, you know what to look for. It's not just a 1, 2, 3 combinations on the mitts. It's not the jab, jab, jab right hand on the mitts. It's not knocking your trainer around the ring with big power shots. It's the little subtle things that boxing heads and boxing minds and people who know boxing see and understand. And that is the elusiveness, the fluid movement of Wilder is different. Slipping punches, going to the body, come back up to the head. Counter the jab, straight to the body, instead of trying to move back and throw a right hand. Malik Scott, if you look through his career, he's a boxer. Okay, he moves, he jabs, he puts combinations together. And I want people to understand the reason why I'm saying this is not because, you're just a Wilder fan. You've always been a Wilder fan and you're always going to go for Wilder. If I thought that Wilder had no chance in this fight and he's biting off more than he can chew, trust me, I'll tell you all straight to your face. Wilder winning or losing doesn't affect my life, so I have no reason to come and try to pick the underdog to try and what? To rally troops, to try to get more views? No, I speak from the heart, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. When you look at great champions, they have one style. Every champion has a different style. With the champions that go down as all-time greats have one main style with a component of defensive ability. It's pretty much impossible to become an all-time great without some type of defensive ability. Because at the end of the day, the idea is to punch and not be punched. Now, you get great fighters, all-time fighters, that can take a lot of damage and become champions. Like Rocky Marciano. Like George Foreman, who was come forward, punch me with the best, with all you got, and it doesn't matter because I'm just going to knock you out. And Gene Fullmer, and there's so many champions who weren't defensive fighters at all. They got beat up in fights, but because of their grit, their chin, their hard-headedness, they were able to become champions. But are those fighters really all-time greats? And don't get me started on Rocky Marciano, okay? All-time great is debatable in my opinion, but let me get to my point. When you look at all-time greats in my opinion, like a Sugar Ray Robinson, like a Marvin Hagler, like a Floyd Mayweather, like a Manny Pacquiao, they're known for a particular style, but with a component of defense, like a Mike Tyson. The reason why Mike Tyson was so great in his prime was because of not only his knockout power for his size, but his defense as well. When the history books are written, Mike Tyson will go down as being one of the most devastating heavyweight punchers of all time. Granted. But what is underrated was his ability to bob and weave, use the peekaboo style, go to the body, slip punches, and come back up to the top. That's why he was so successful. And because he went away from that, when he came back out from prison and tried to make a comeback, he lost that ability, or he didn't keep it sharpened, and he became just a puncher and tried to punch his way out of fights, and that's why he lost fights like to Lennox Lewis and others. Especially heavyweights. Heavyweights that can use defense and have punching power are devastating fighters and ultimately become all-time greats. But pretty much in any weight class, right? Especially, maybe a little bit different in the real lower weight classes because there's a lot of volume in general in those lower weight classes. I mean, volume in punches. But middleweight and above, if you don't have some type of defense you're not going to last long in this sport. Even somebody like Deontay Wilder has now finally figured out that he needs some type of defense. It's not just, I can just punch my way out of a problem. He's been getting away with it for so long, and the only time where we saw him showcase a bit of boxing skill was against Bermane Stervin, right? The very first fight. And then people are like, oh, we want a knockout. So he came back the second time and knocked his ass out. But we can all agree that Bermane is not Tyson Fury. So that's fine. That's granted as well. But Deontay Wilder figured out that I can't punch my way out of Tyson Fury. I can't just load up and wait for a perfect shot. I thought I could, but I can't. So everything that he's done up to this point makes sense. Brings in a guy like Malik Scott, who's going to drill the shit out of Deontay Wilder when it comes to defense, pivoting, right? Slip, pivot, go to the body. And Wilder hardly ever went to the body. He's always been a headhunter. And when you got a big, giant frame trying to walk you down in a heavyweight fight, championship heavyweight fight, and you ain't going to the body, that's a recipe for disaster. Okay, and Tyson Fury has fought Deontay twice now. Tyson Fury knows that if I can keep him at the end of my jab and then walk him down and bully him, wear him down, throw combinations, Wilder can't get in range to throw big power shots. All he can do is cover up or try to hang on. I mean, he learned that towards the end of the first fight, and he displayed that the entire time in the second fight. So coming into the third fight, he knows that, right? For me, Tyson Fury is not going to change anything in his game plan coming into the third fight. He's going to do exactly what he did in the second fight. And Malik Scott knows that. Malik Scott has sparred Fury. Let's not forget that either. So you have two people who has been in the ring with him for a total of at least 3 times already. So if you're Deontay, what do? You get a guy like Malik Scott. Malik Scott says, hey, it's a big boy we're fighting. I don't care how great he is on his feet for his size. That's a big-ass frame coming at you. We're going to go to that body. And you see it in Deontay's pad work. Slip, body, head. Slip, jab, body, pivot out. And will he display that magnificent boxing style like he's doing on the mitts? No fighter does. Okay? But it's the little small details that Deontay has been working on. And if he sticks to the game plan and breaks down Tyson Fury's body, the head will open up. Boxing history is replete with that type of scenario. So I feel like he's focused. I feel like he's determined. I feel like there are a lot of emotions flowing through this fight. And if he's able to contain those emotions and bury it deep inside him, and when the moment is right, and he lines up that big powerful punch, Zeus Almighty himself will place a thunderbolt, and he will release those emotions from deep within, place it in that fist of fury, pun intended, and knock his ass out. Sounds animated, sounds comical, maybe to some, but you know where I'll be post-fight. I'll be right here to tell you I told you so. Because I've been gone for a while. I've been gone for about 4 or 5 years. People must have forgot about divine sense and what happens when I predict fights. And I make motherfuckers eat crow. And it's going to happen again. Deontay Wilder is going to come in on July 24th and destroy Fury. It's not going to be pretty. Like, subscribe, comment. If you don't like this video, that's fine. but you should at least subscribe so you can wait out post-fight. And if Deontay loses, I'll be a man, come on here, and say that I was wrong. But you best believe I'm going to call you guys out when Deontay smashes Fury. And so you should at least subscribe for that day, because it'll be a glorious day. And if you don't subscribe, that means you're afraid Deontay Wilder's going to win. That's all I got to say. Is your boy Divine. Peace.